afternoon, everybody who we hope there are a number of you there. So I see 31 viewers, so welcome to you all. And a very warm welcome to Mary and Edda, who are going to be with me for this live stream.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to start with a brief presentation that will last about 15 minutes, just to give you a feel for the place to work that CERN is. And then we're going to take your questions. So you should be able to see my screen now, if in full screen mode. Can you confirm?
Yes.
Fantastic. So we're going to tell you about CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research, the world's largest particle physics lab in the world. And who are we? We're a worldwide collaboration funded by 23 member states and a further 9 associate member states across Europe and beyond. Our mission is to provide a unique range of particle accelerator facilities for research at the forefront of human knowledge, to perform world-class research in fundamental physics, and most importantly, and this is the wonderful thing about CERN, we unite people from all over the world to push the frontiers of science and technology for the benefit of all. So there are 4 pillars to our mission: research, education, technology, and collaboration. We're going to give you a little bit more information about the place, the people, the technology, the tools, and the opportunities, and much, much more. So a few images to show you where we are. This is an aerial view of the main site on the Swiss side of the border, because we straddle the French-Swiss border in Geneva. And you can see at the forefront there the globe of science and innovation, which is what everybody sees usually when they land in a certain direction on Geneva Airport. Here, from this aerial view, you can see the Lac Léman, the lake on the right there, and the airport I was talking about. And in between here, you can see the circumference of the Large Hadron Colliders, 27 kilometers. And highlighted in yellow, the 2 main sites of the organization. The one at the front is in Switzerland, and the one at the back is in France. We work over and underground. And the LHC and its experiments really is collectively the machine of all superlatives. Why? Well, it begins with a humble source, a hydrogen ion source. This is the image showing the hydrogen plasma, which is where it all begins with the injection of the protons into the accelerator complex. The Large Hadron Collider can be considered the fastest racetrack on the planet. Why? Because you have trillions of protons racing around this ring in opposite directions over 11,000 times a second, traveling at close to the speed of light. Our superconducting magnets operate with temperatures colder than outer space with the best vacuum. And we also have the hottest spots in the galaxy, as when 2 beams of protons collide, they generate temperatures 1,000 million times hotter than the heart of the sun, but in a minuscule space. We have the most sophisticated detectors ever built for micron precision measurements, which see over 600 million proton collisions per second. And just the image here, you can see the complexity of technology and engineering that is required to build these enormous machines. This is Atlas, one of the main CERN experiments, which is as big as a 5-story building. You can see the gentleman at the forefront of the image there to give you an idea of the size and scale. This is the compact muon solenoid, CMS, the other main experiment of CERN, which is heavier than the Eiffel Tower. And for another fact, it weighs around the same as 30 jumbo jets or 2,500 African elephants. CERN is also the birthplace of the World Wide Web in 1989, discovered by, or rather invented by, Tim Berners-Lee. And at CERN, we see 1 petabyte of data every day coming from the LHC experiments. That's the equivalent of around 210,000 DVDs. And today, we have the most global computer system in the world, where the CERN data center, analyzing the bits and the bytes, is the heart of the grid computing, which harnesses computer centers all around the world. This is a picture of the CERN control center. So we've talked about the enormous particle accelerator that we have, the detectors. This really is where it all happens, all these screens, all the things going on there. Everything is piloted from here, the technical infrastructure, the monitoring, and all the things that we have to look out for. So it is the brain of CERN's nervous system. There is a lot of knowledge transfer that goes on at CERN around accelerator, detector, and computing technology, with applications across all sectors from medical to aerospace, cultural heritage to the environment, safety, emerging technologies, industry, and much more. And you can find out more on kt.cern. We're also looking at future projects to discover new physics and to accelerate particles to even higher energies. You need bigger accelerators. So could it be the compact linear, the CLIC, the linear collider, or the future circular collider, which would be 100 kilometers in circumference? We have more than 100 nationalities working side by side. It really is a diverse working environment, and the main working languages are English and French, but you will hear many languages spoken here. We're actively sharing knowledge across all diversity dimensions, working above and underground. And to recap, the tools that we use are the accelerators, the powerful machines capable of accelerating the particles to very high energies before being collided with other particles in the detectors, which are the gigantic instruments that record the collisions of these particles, and of course the computers who collect, store, distribute, and analyze enormous quantities of data generated by the detectors. So this involves a lot of technology, and all of you attending today come from different STEM backgrounds, technology, engineering disciplines. We span computing and IT, vacuum, cryogenics, electronics, electricity, magnets, mechanics, material science, radio frequency control systems, and much, much more. CERN's people, we have over 17,000 people working at CERN, engineers, technicians, support staff, and physicists working side by side. So the main professional staff are the staff members with an employment contract with the organization and the fellows, and there are around 3,000 in total, working alongside students and trainees and associates. And the infrastructure is used by what we call the users coming the world over, and there are more than 12,000 of these to work on the particle physics research and discoveries they hope to make. But our challenge is a difficult one. Everybody thinks we only hire physicists, which is actually untrue. We hire more engineers and technicians and support staff than we do physicists. Only 3% of our staff members are physicists. So our challenge is to put CERN on the map for you, the candidates we're hoping to hire. And you may not think of us as a potential employer. These are our values centered around excellence, commitment, integrity, creativity, professionalism, and of course diversity, which is so important. And this is our brand around challenge, purpose, collaboration, imagination, integrity, and quality of life, which can only be fantastic ingredients for an amazing opportunity and career springboard. So every year we welcome over 600 students to the organization on our different programs, over 250 graduates on our fellowship programs, over 150 professionals, and a number of associates. And now we're going to hand over to Edda and to Mary to introduce themselves. So Edda, would you like to begin to introduce yourself? Then I'll stop sharing my screen and we'll get to the questions.
Sure. So I'm happy to be here and answer your questions and also present myself here. So yes, I'm Edda Gschwentner. I'm from Austria, from Salzburg. I did my PhD. I studied at the Technical University in Vienna. And I followed, in fact, everything what CERN offers in terms of contracts and opportunities. I was a summer student already. I was a technical student. I did my master thesis. I was a PhD student then at the university, but as a doctoral student also at CERN here. I became fellow, which is a postdoc position. And then in 2005, then I was hired as a CERN staff. So during this journey there, I was involved in many different projects. So I started on the detector side. So I worked in the beginning during my thesis on LHC experiments on Atlas. And then I moved to the accelerator side, first in the beam instrumentation. And then really I was taking care of the beamline sending the neutrinos to Gran Sasso. So it was the CNGS CERN Neutrino Gran Sasso experiment. Also taking care of the SPS accelerator, which is the pre-accelerator of the LHC, and also of the experimental facilities. And then I became the project leader of Awake. And Anna nicely mentioned already that we have to discover new physics. We need bigger accelerators. And this Awake is one experiment where we want to develop a technology where we can accelerate particles even stronger, even faster, to make these new accelerators going to higher energies smaller and easier accessible. And this is based on plasma wake field acceleration. And that's indeed a very, very interesting technology. And it's really now something really demonstrating some new ways towards high energy physics. So I'm very happy to be at CERN here. And I'm now happy to answer all your questions about me at CERN and whatsoever.
Thank you, Edda. And we're also super pleased to welcome Mary. Mary, would you like to say a few words about yourself before we start?
Hello, everyone. My name is Mary Georgiou. I come from Athens, Greece, where I finished my bachelor and master's degree in computer science. I also joined CERN early with student contracts. Currently, I'm a fellow. I'm a software developer, and I work for the authorization and authentication team of CERN, where we are developing services so we can actually support everyone in CERN, and especially people like Edda that are working in research, in order to support them and offer them whatever they need to facilitate their work, infrastructure-wise. It's a super interesting job, honestly. We have to cooperate with with people from different fields, physics, engineers, etc., etc. It's also super interesting as a computer science that I have to work in such a big infrastructure and deal with everyday challenges, and it's something that really has made me grow up a lot as a professional. I will be very happy to take your questions.
Thanks so much, Mary. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I'm going to come back into the area of our discussion. So there are no questions coming in yet, but I think we've got quite a few people watching us. We've got 50 people online. So all I can say is that please, to start the discussion, can you pop your questions in the discussion panel so that I can then take them, and Mary and Edda and I can answer any queries that you may have.
I think we already have a question, but we need to constantly refresh the discussion in order to see them.
Thank you, Mary. Well, hello there, Arati. Hope everyone is doing great. I want to join Team CERN. How can I proceed? Well, you can join us by going to careers.cern first of all, and to find out all about the student and graduate programs that Edda and Mary have already talked about. So I'm just going to pop it in the reply, careers.cern there for you. That's how it all begins, dear Arati. So good afternoon. So there's a question here for you, Edda and Mary. Is a double competency physics software developer an advantage for some positions, and which ones? So if you have double competency physics software, is it an advantage for some positions? What would you say to that?
Yes, okay, let me start from the physics side, and then Mary, you can answer from the computing side there. Again, I think it is. It always depends on what you're interested, what you want to work on, but in principle, software is you must have software knowledge when you do physics. This is in any way you need to have this input. I mean, there's a lot of, it depends again where you want to work. But for example, if you want to work on data analysis, LHC data analysis in the LHC experiments there, usually people, I mean, you have to understand the physics behind it, but you have also to do the analysis and the software development. And so it is definitely of advantage there. The same also from the accelerator side there. Again, I mean, we need control software, we need GUI software, we need data analysis software. And again, it's much better if you do understand the physics behind that, because you can then even use your physics knowledge there to do some analysis there also. And just as an example, that's exactly what we have now looked for a technical student. So we just hired now in the recent board a technical student, where we were looking for someone who knows who is good in software development for the experimental data acquisition system, and then to do the analysis with it. So the person has to understand the physics.
That's fantastic. And you do get to learn, even if you're a computing engineer, as is Mary, you get to learn about the physics as well. So perhaps we can segue into Mary now. Can you tell us about the IT technologies that you in your area would imagine? I've put in the reply that it spans everything, but if you could give us a bit of information there.
For what I'm working on, it's not mandatory that you have deep knowledge of physics, but of course, in order to communicate with different people around CERN, it's always good to have an idea. As Edda mentioned already, there are positions that do require from someone to have knowledge of both. For example, as in data analysis in the experiments, you do need to know what you're working on, and you do need to know how the physics work, in the background. So I think that Edda more or less covered I don't have something more to add than that.
Perfect. Thank you, Mary. I'm just replying in the chat to Ainura, who is asking us about opportunities for nationals of Kazakhstan. So thank you for joining us today. I've just replied in the chat that actually our opportunities are mainly for nationals of our member and associate member states, and I've put a link in the reply there. But we do have opportunities for non-member state students in our summer student program, if you are currently a student, that will open in the autumn. So we have a question from Maria Luisa, and quite a few questions about non-European students. So CERN, as I explained at the beginning, is funded by 23 member states and a further 9 associate member states. They're not all EU states. We have Israel, India, Pakistan, and other countries that are not actually in the EU. So I recommend that you consult that particular link that I shared to see what the member states of CERN are. And I also join in on a question about African nationals. Again, these are not member states of CERN, so therefore the opportunities for non-member states, which are fewer, would apply to you. So now we have a question from Johanna. How long does the recruitment process take? Well, it depends on which position you apply for. For a staff position, it can take from the moment we post the vacancy and right up to recruitment about 9 months, including the notice period on average that people would have to take. But that really is an average. So all in all, it takes 4 to 6 months, but then you need to factor in that. And then Edda mentioned the summer student program. So this is a program for students who have completed 3 years of studies at master's level or bachelor level, and it opens in the autumn for the following year. So I just keep refreshing my screen as you noted earlier. So we have a question about spontaneous applications. Unfortunately, we don't have a system for spontaneous applications. We used to, but we have, last year we received over 23,000 applications for our staff programs, over 15,000 for our graduate programs. So opening up for the spontaneous would sadly be an overstretch for our small recruitment teams, I'm afraid. So that's not possible. So while we're waiting for other questions to come in, can I ask Mary and Edda, can you just share what it is that you love about working for CERN while we wait for more questions to come in?
Okay. Well, I still love to be here after these many, many years. So that's the first thing here. Now, for me, which is really, and I repeat myself there again, because it's really from the beginning and still now, it's this expertise which exists at CERN here. There's motivation of the people there. You know, when you have a technical problem, a physics problem, you have experts around, and you know that you will solve it. And this is really, and people are really motivated by the physics or by the engineer, whatever they are working on, by the work themselves and by the goal, what they want to achieve with it, and not just by, okay, doing a 9-to-5 job and earning money. So that's the mindset of most of the people I talk to here. And that's very refreshing and very motivating. And I think that drives also the success of CERN in general.
Wonderful. And you, Mary, what would you say? What do you most like about working?
Where do I start, honestly? The role is super interesting. As an IT person, I get to work on a huge infrastructure, something that you cannot really find in any job. I get to cooperate with people from really different fields and really different backgrounds, culturally or scientifically. I mean, those years that I'm in CERN, I grew up a lot as a professional. The experience I got in cybersecurity, in authorization development, etc., but also as a person. This is, I mean, it's absolutely an amazing place to work, CERN. Yeah, absolutely amazing.
I can only join that, I must say. And I have to say that it's motivated you all to ask some more questions. There's one here for you, Edda. You mentioned control software. Are you also looking for control systems engineer? She doesn't see a job posting in that area at the moment, but would be interested to know if generally we do hire people with that experience.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there are some certain groups. I mean, for example, there's the beams operation and beams control group. So you need to do all this control systems engineering in these areas, in these groups there, and they do have job openings. That's just a specific one. The same is valid also for experiment control and maybe also in the IT. Again, if there are not job postings right there, you can always apply as depending on what you're interested in, but in a postdoc position or a PhD position there. So there are different levels of posts and applications then.
Brilliant. We had a question here about opportunities in legal or ethics field. So more in the legal service. We do have CERN is a bit of a campus. So we have a legal service, translation and minutes service. We have a finance department, an HR department, of course. So occasionally we do have opportunities in the legal field, but they will be fewer and far between than the engineering. Karen asks, when you listed CERN interests, you mentioned medical and emerging technologies. Please outline duties in this field. So we won't outline duties. The knowledge transfer group is quite small in itself, and this is really composed of people who are actively going out there and looking at opportunities to help startups, to create business incubation centers and things like that. We do have the medical applications, working with people in the medical application sector, but again, it's a very small area of CERN which has massive ramifications. So if you are in the procurement field, in kind of the knowledge transfer field, occasionally we do have opportunities opening that. So there's a question for Mary from Susanna here. What was your biggest IT challenge that you have dealt with at CERN? And then she has another question for us three, but let's go for Mary.
Okay, so the biggest challenge, and it's a challenge that we always have to face in CERN, I would say there are two challenges that for me are equally big. First of all, we always have to deal with big data, huge loads of data that we have to deal with in real time. And the second challenge is that team is a very big place, a lot of teams. We have to support a lot of different teams actually, and we have to receive the requirements and try to organize them and try to help everyone with and support their work. So that would be another challenge. That the second one especially really, I think, personally made me grow a lot as a professional. Receiving challenges, receiving requirements, understanding what the teams need, what the teams want, how I can help them, and make this happen so that we can support them.
It's a wonderful answer. Thank you, Mary. The second part of Susanna's question is for us three. The most complex challenge at a human and social level. Edda, do you want to take your point of view on that?
Yes, I mean, I think what is a challenge there is that we work, well, it's not a challenge. I mean, that's the beauty also. We work towards the same goal, but with a lot of diverse people and different groups there. So I think you really have to make sure that these people work together. Often you're not hierarchically connected to these people. So you have to do the work you have to get them work by motivation there. Again, luckily, and that's why what I see is that people are motivated. That's why they're here also. But at the same time, of course, this is I would say this is certainly a challenge. Another challenge, simply technically, is that we are always on the limit of what is possible. So we have to find a new solution for something new, and does not exist yet there. So we have to think about it. So it's really a very technical challenge. But I think that's also, again, the thing which drives and which makes the fun.
Yeah, we are working at the cutting edge of technology at all times. That's true. And Mary, what would you say is the most complex challenge you would define at the human and social level?
I wouldn't really call it a challenge. Maybe it has a little bit of negative, but I, as a person, when I arrived to CERN, I needed to change a little bit my point of view, because I came from one country, one culture in this point of view, and I had to try to learn to communicate in a lot of different ways, and in order to be in harmony with everyone. And everyone is doing this at CERN. It's not only me. We all try to go close to each other and find a common way of communication. Although we are very diverse, which is also a very good thing, because from diversity we get the best ideas. That's the thing. So yeah, I wouldn't really call it a challenge, but I would call it me going up with the ladder of communication. That's how it was. Yeah.
Beautiful. I'm going to complement that. I said it in the presentation. We have more than 110 nationalities working side by side. And it's true that the word challenge is probably not the one. Diversity is a unique value for CERN. It really is close to our hearts. Inclusion is important. COVID has shown us all different ways of working, and ensuring this inclusion of people who are working remotely while collaborating. And because in our DNA, our collaboration is also a key value for CERN, and that's probably where the challenge has come in, is to make sure that everybody feels included and able to give their best in what has been a very difficult context. But in normal times, we thrive on collaboration and we thrive on our diversity, and I think we've made it work even during COVID. So what a challenge to take on. It's been fantastic. And the final part of Susanna's question concerned the cybersecurity field. Maybe Mary, you could say a couple of words about that?
Yes, I worked with them in the past. We do have an amazing cybersecurity team that they are dealing with very, very interesting cybersecurity challenges. That's all I have to say. You can go, I think there is a site online if you would like to check. But yes, we do have.
Absolutely. What don't we have is more the question. There's a question here from Maria. Is there an age limit in hiring? No. Diversity spans all dimensions. And we have hired in the past year people aged 46, 62. Our retirement age is 65, that in 67 actually, for those who join the organization now. But there is no age limit. I think there is richness in every element of diversity. So thank you, Maria, for that question. PhD opportunities in engineering. Edda, would you like to say a few words on that? Or Mary? Yeah?
We do have a lot of PhD opportunities every year. It depends on the projects and the needs of the organization. So one year there might be more PhD opportunities in engineering, another year there might be not. What you have to do is open the recruiting site of CERN, and if I'm not wrong, there is the doctoral student program that opens every year. And if I'm not wrong again, normally the projects are there. I don't know, Anna, if
they used to be, but because they're so specific every time, but we do have reference projects, yeah.
So you could apply and sorry.
Yeah, if I just add there, indeed, you know, I mean, CERN is, we have the physics part and the physics analysis, LHC experiments, but CERN is the host state of all, we are hosting all the accelerators. So CERN is responsible for the accelerators, and we have to make sure that the accelerators are running 24/7 in order that we can do physics. So this automatically needs a lot of engineering, because all the different elements, starting from vacuum to magnets to RF, so there are a lot of PhD opportunities indeed in engineering, especially in the field of the accelerator and technology sector.
Yes, and for those of you who were here at the beginning at the presentation, we really said that our challenge is to showcase CERN for what it really is. It is a particle physics research lab for sure, but for that we need the top level engineering and technology competencies that we can possibly find. And it takes me on to a question from Ria about the sought after areas of expertise required for mechanical engineers at CERN. I've popped a link in there just as a reference for you, Ria, to have a look, but it really spans all areas of mechanical engineering, because you've seen in the pictures of the presentation, it's so vast. And like with the computing disciplines, which span all areas of computing, mechanical engineering is pretty much the same. So you can have a look at the website that I have shared there for more information, but it's just a subpart of the information that you'll find. We've got a great question from Lisa, who asks, what's the fraction of female staff members across the different departments? So overall, at the moment, we have 23.6% of females in our staff member contingent, if you like. And overall, across all our 17,000 members of personnel, we have 19.7%. This today is an event for women in engineering and tech. This is why we're here, because we need you. Look at us three. We're women. Well, I work in the HR department, but I'm a scientist also. It's important that we, for the diversity of science, are represented, and we have a dedicated project called Diversity 25 by 2025, which aims to increase this level from 19.7% to 25% of females by 2025. And if we can make it more, we need all of you here, so do apply. So we have a question here from Angelica. What's it like working as a woman at CERN, and what is your experience? So who would like to start with that one?
It's just working, I would say. So I think it's luckily not much different to whether you are a woman or a man, I would say. At least from my experience there, the main difference is, the main point is that you are still in the minority. I think you have an environment there where there are mainly men around. One gets used to that. Sometimes you have to change your language or adapt to. But I think the opportunities are equal, I would say. So it's really, and CERN's put, especially now with this 25 by 25, but already before, CERN puts a lot of efforts now to increase this number. But again, they really look for the best people. And yes, I think it's not different. It's a funny question somehow. I mean, we are not the aliens there, the women there. So I think we are also embedded and included as men. So
well, I'd like to give the converse. We want more men in HR. Thank you very much.
Yes,
There's too many women in HR.
Yes.
So, but it's true that I really want to join Edda there. Is that it's not different being a woman at CERN. The experience is fantastic because it's being at CERN that's fantastic. Whether you're a man, a woman, whether you're older, whether you're younger, wherever you're from, it's a really rich experience. Mary, what would your experience be? What would you say?
I would agree with that. I don't feel like I'm an alien. I always receive the same behavior. I get treated exactly the same with everyone. And currently I'm in a team where we are 50-50%. For this, I'm very happy. Yes.
Yeah, we need to take some good examples.
We are exactly 50-50% in a team of developers, which is a little bit of not very common. But yeah, I never felt like I was different because of my sex.
No. And I think I'd also like to underline the fact that we don't carry out positive discrimination. The recruitment criteria at CERN are excellent, and we really do hire the best candidates for the opportunities. The thing is that we have fewer women in the applicant pools, so please apply. We need you here. That's probably the best message. We have a question here from Ainura. What program languages are mostly used at CERN? Are the most used? That's a difficult one to answer. Yeah, thank you.
Depends really on the field you're working on. If you work on the accelerators, if you work with embedded systems, it's going to be C++. We use Java, we use C#. If it's on data analysis, it's going to be Python or C++, because we also use the physicists in CERN use some framework called Root, if I'm not wrong, Edda, which is based on C++. So really,
everything.
I think for the youngsters, I mean, again, because I'm leading a project which is also a young project and a future project there. I think, I mean, Python definitely something which we at the end, sooner or later, everyone would know then at the end after being in our team there and in general at CERN, I think.
But it's true that CERN is also, it was founded in 1954, and as we're talking about computing languages spanning everything, we have a lot of legacy code, we have a lot of older, do we still have Fortran? We probably do. It really can span everything. So every kind of thinking is welcome here, every kind of computing languages as well. Bring new ones if you want to. Someone says, it's Suzanne, a PhD in turbo machinery and a long experience in process excellence. Would my competencies be of interest to CERN? Well, I have to say that I'm out of my depth here on turbo machinery. I must say this is something I haven't come across before. But what I do usually say to people who are in a very specific environment, you know the sub-competencies or the sub-skills that actually are embedded in turbo machinery. And if I take a parallel example of aerospace, this is not at all what CERN does, but the competencies that you would have in turbo machinery or aerospace would be applicable to areas of engineering in CERN. So it's about you really going through the opportunities and the skills that we list as requirements and to see what matches your expertise there. As for process excellence, excellence is our central value, so I'm sure that would be very welcome, Suzanne, for sure. We have a question here. Hi, Edda. I'm doing a master's in physics and doing my thesis in liquid crystals. I'm interested in doing programming and beginning quantum computing. Will you guide me? What are the opportunities for me at CERN? It's a very interesting and very specific environment there.
Okay, I think quantum computing. Okay, quantum computing, maybe Mary, you can answer then in more details there, but I think this is coming up and this is now really taken up by CERN there. Liquid crystals, I think in connection with detectors, detector development for LHC experiments, this could be interesting. So I would see now just reaching out maybe either to the LHC experiments, to the detector side there, or to the computing group there. But I would see some definitely opportunities there.
Fantastic. Would you have anything to add to that, Mary? Or quantum computing wise, it's all happening, isn't it? It's coming together.
I think CERN just set up, not just, but it's pretty recently, last year, it's quantum computing team. So I guess that there are opportunities there already. If someone applies in the fellowship, or there probably will be a staff opening. But yeah, we do have quantum computing in CERN.
Definitely. We also have the Open Lab collaboration with major companies like Intel, HP, etc., who are all so very big on that. So CERN is really trying to engage in the quantum computing field because it's all cutting edge at the moment. What you need to remember is CERN was the birthplace of the World Wide Web, and since then has gone leaps and bounds in computing, and that's not very well known by people. So watch this space, and if you are interested, you know, apply for an opportunity at CERN, and you'll see what's going on. Deva asks about joining CERN as an administrative assistant. There are many teams, it's true. There are many groups, many sections, many subgroups. You don't actually choose the department where to apply, Deva, because we will open the administrative opportunities as and when they arise, whatever the department. And I have to say that administrative assistants tend to have similar tasks, whatever the department they're in, but they will be obviously in very different work environments. An administrative assistant in HR will not have the same kind of daily working life as an administrative assistant in the systems or in the beams department or in the IT department. But it's very exciting because you get to really live CERN from another perspective and learn so much. So it's a very rich and growth opportunity, as Mary mentioned earlier in another context. Dija asks, what projects do student interns usually work on? You're a rising CS junior, so computer science junior from India, and you find the work done at CERN, especially related to big data and cybersecurity, pretty cool and interesting. So do you have a couple of examples of projects? You gave a couple earlier, Mary, I think, that students might do, technical students notably, in computing.
Absolutely. I personally, as a technical student, I was doing normal work like everyone else when I was part of the monitoring team of CERN. So I was directly contributing to the service. When I was in the security team, there were students that were working on building up tools for CERN, building up new services for CERN. For example, I remember now on top of my head, a student set up a code quality tool for our central GitLab that we still use. After a couple of years, I think this happened a couple of years ago, we still use this tool. It's still very useful. We still doing development on it, etc., etc. And then the projects depend on where you're working on.
Absolutely. I love what you just said, though, that a student comes along, does a project, and it's legacy, and they have left their mark. So that's a great and helpful answer. Thanks, Mary. We've got a really good question here from Tara. Good afternoon to you. We're well, and then we hope you are too. So you're wondering if we have any advice for someone with an oil and gas background as a mechanical technician and looking to move into an incredible organization like CERN. My answer to you, Tara, is we need you. The oil and gas sector is an area in which we do a lot of advertising because those are the skills and competencies that we actually also need at CERN. And technicians are those that we have a lot of difficulty attracting. Mechanical technicians, electromechanical, electricity, electronics. So the answer to you, Tara, personally is please apply. So there are a lot of opportunities there. And then we have a question from Oluchi. What can a person from a small, relatively unknown university who is a beginner in their career do to set themselves apart from the highly competitive pool of applicants? Well, I think all three of us will have a few things to say. Mary, would you like to give your advice on how you would help someone stand out, or what advice you would give?
Absolutely. First of all, from which university you come from, I don't think it matters. What matters is that you love what you're doing, you're passionate about what you're doing. You're contributing in a way, for example, applicants that contribute to open source or have done their own projects to help a community, their school, or whatever, shows that someone is motivated and really like what they're doing. This is something that will help you stand out, for example.
Lovely answer. What would your advice be, Edda?
Yeah, I can just repeat what Mary said. It does not really depend on unknown university. Usually I don't remember looking so much at from which university you come from. It's much more what you did, how you did it, how much you liked it, what you have achieved so far, and what are your interests.
Absolutely. And I think to make yourself stand out, Oluchi, and this is advice we give to all applicants, is put care into your application. Show, don't write the same motivation statement that you would for another organization. Really say why you want to work for CERN. What is it that CERN can bring you, and what can you bring us? Because we all learn from each other. What is it that motivates you? What are you curious about? I think this is the best advice we can give nowadays. Is it's not all about studies. It's about you as a whole person, about all the things that motivate you and the drive that you have in your beginning of career. So good luck, Oluchi, and all of you watching. Melissa is a project management master holder, second master in community and international development. Congratulations. What social responsibility or community programs do you have, and what competencies is CERN looking for? So in terms of social responsibility and community programs per se, as you will have understood, that's not CERN's core business. However, we are very committed to benefiting society. It's our mission. We have the CERN Society Foundation, which actually undertakes a lot of work for social responsibility and community through the KT. It's pervasive through everything that we do. But we can't say that we'll be opening opportunities specifically in that field. However, when you have a master in community and international development, we also have an international relations sector, which spans an awful lot of aspects. So what I would say, and this is the advice to anyone watching as well, is keep an eye on what CERN is opening as opportunities. It varies and changes all the time. So you never know, Melissa, your opportunity could be around the corner. So have we got any new questions since this? Let's have a look. So Jagriti says, I have an MS in artificial intelligence and intermediate Python skills. I applied for a junior fellowship 2 to 3 times in the past 2 years with a great motivation letter for CERN, but did not get a chance to interview. I have revamped my resume now. I want to know how I can increase my chances of my resume being picked up by the hiring manager. So Jagriti, what you need to know is that it's true. The Junior Fellowship is one of our most competitive programs. We have 1,500 applicants on average every year. And it really is about standing out, following the advice that Edda and Mary have just shared. It's difficult to give you a straightforward answer because it's true. How does one stand out among thousands of applicants? It's about being really clear on what you want to do and what your skills are, the levels of your skills. But also, I would say perseverance is the only key that you have to have, is to keep trying. Would any of you have anything to add? No worries if not, but do.
I think, and unfortunately, sometimes it's really a kind of luck situation that your profile fits exactly to the position, to the job which is needed by one group there, which also does not happen all the time, of course. So it's really, I think that's also one part of it, especially when you have this extremely competitive situation of junior fellowships there.
Absolutely, yeah. We have a question here that was submitted a while ago by Razmita. What would be the suggestions for physics graduated women or girls who want to work and learn as a PhD candidate at CERN? What criteria we must follow in the procedure? So I think the key thing, Razmita, is to follow the guidance when you apply online. There is a lot of material that you need to fill in because we need to find out more about you. You'll have screening questions to complement your CV and your motivation. But the specific suggestions for women and girls who have graduated in physics and want to work and learn as a PhD candidate, I think it joins back to what we've been saying all along. Be curious, be motivated, keep trying. I don't think
it's even independent whether you're a woman or a man there in that sense. So it's not a specific additional or suggestion for women.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we haven't got any further questions coming in at the moment, but we still got a little bit of time, another 15 minutes if people want to keep them coming in. I'd like to just turn to Mary. So you were telling us in the introduction that you graduated from Athens with a bachelor and MSc. How did you find out about CERN?
Back in the time, I had a couple of colleagues from the university that joined CERN as technical students and summer students. And I thought, I checked out the program, learning about CERN, reading all these, also listening from them directly, what they did, what they worked on, how was their life in CERN. For me, it was one way, I had to apply. And I was lucky enough to be accepted as a summer student.
That's a fantastic story, and it's important for you to know that they're all routes that can lead to CERN. We say all routes may lead to Rome, but they also lead to CERN somehow. We have a question from Ainura, who is asking a new question. She asked one earlier. So you obtained a master's degree in electronics and embedded systems and telecoms. Can you apply for fellowship programs? Yes. So you say there are proposals for electronics engineer. You don't have experience in electronics right now, only your study background. I think that if we take everything that we've talked about today, you're definitely what we call a fellow candidate. You're a fresh graduate. You clearly have your study background. You may not have much work experience, but remember that the fellowship program, the graduate program at CERN, is a learning experience. This is where you will be learning. So you'll be bringing the knowledge, the learnings that you've had from your university time, but you will be learning as well. So that is not going to rule you out. So we definitely would encourage you to apply. Just for all of you to know, the fellowship program is open for applications until the 1st of September. So it's very important for you to look again at these opportunities and to see, if you meet the eligibility criteria, of course, and to take part in any way you can possibly find in our programs. So I'm just refreshing my screen. No further questions. We're slowly going to bring this to a close. So what would be the closing message that you would give to our participants today? We've had over 60 people joining us. Edda, what would be your closing words to our audience?
Apply. That's in simple words. Yes, if you're interested, if you're motivated, apply, be persevere. This is true sometimes maybe, but it's really worth it. And if you find something interesting, if you want to come to CERN, there are lots of opportunities.
Definitely. It's a beautiful closing message. And for you, Mary?
Exactly the same. Please apply. If you get rejected the first time, it's okay. I applied twice myself. Sometimes it happens. And try to show in your application that you're motivated, you're passionate, and you really love what you're doing. This is the key. This is the key for everything in life, actually.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a wonderful place to work at. We really hope that we've given you as much information as possible about CERN as a place to work and learn, as a place to be. We haven't talked about quality of life much, but I would like to close on that, is that it's an opportunity to join a working environment which is diverse in all its respects, as we've discussed, but it's also a great place to live. It's a great place because we are close to the mountains, we're close to the lake, Geneva, we're next to the airport, and it really is a rich environment. And what I love to see from my HR perspective are all these students who come to CERN and who form groups together, who they live experiences they would never have lived before. They try new things, new experiences, and all that is an addition to your dimension as a person and an individual, and will make you even richer on the job market in the future. So I think on that note, we're going to slowly come to a close and say thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you to Mary, thank you to Edda, and wish everybody all the best for the future. And we hope to see your application soon. So thank you.
Thank
and
you.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I've ended the broadcast.
Oh,
Great.
I brought it to